Welcome to the HBX ECO-1000 overview. Today we'll do a short high-level overview of HBX's ECO-1000 control. A little bit about HBX is we're a privately owned company here in Calgary, Canada, and HBX started testing controls in 2002. And the first control that went on sale was in 2005, and that was the CPU 1000. So the biggest principle behind our controls is that it has modular expandability. So that allows you to take a smaller unit and make it into a larger unit. And it allows us to house up to 2 stages. And if you want to expand your pumping capabilities or your boiler capabilities, you would just use an expansion module. This would allow you to go from smaller systems and expand it into larger systems. The CPU 1000 is a main unit where we can get some smaller installations such as a 2-stage boiler control, some domestic controls, but when you need to get in some larger applications, we decided to have the modules to add on to the main control and expand the capabilities of the CPU and the ECO-1000 to get into some large commercial jobs and even industrial situations. The way we connect the modules is simply by a 32-pin connector that connects easily to the side of the control or another module. Our ECO-1000 is our geothermal control, and what this allows you to do is it gives you either solar capabilities or geo capabilities. It works on the same premise as the CPU 1000 control, and as you can see, it basically is a CPU 1000, and the only thing different between the two controls is the internal software. Everything is the same as far as color-coded and keyed terminals. It has extra set points, there's no cross wiring, and you can use all of the expansion modules except for the Mod 100 because you don't do any modulating with an ECO. It has fault indicator, automatic heat-cool changeover. So what that does is that we have a warm weather and cold weather shutdown built on, so you can adjust the settings so it doesn't matter if the thermostat is calling and cooling. If it's only 40 degrees out, you can lock those out. It has onboard graphing on the ECO control along with the brownout detection also. When you power up the control to start, it will ask whether you want to be in geothermal or solar mode as it is a dual control. It has the same buttons as the CPU 1000 and the Snow 1000, and you can navigate your way through the control basically the same way as those two. One thing to keep in mind is that you can do a heating tank or a cooling tank, or both a heating and cooling tank in one. So it doesn't matter if you're using a dual tank or a single tank situation. The user interface is easy to use and has the same screen as the CPU 1000. It just shows you a different nomenclature. For example, we would show tank temperature, and if you're running a 2-tank system, this would read hot tank and cold tank. It has your targets, your outdoor temperature, and your set points if you have them. It shows a heat demand, cool demand, whether there is a fault in your system, your set points 1, 2, and 3, warm weather and cold weather shutdown. In the system function screen, it shows you what is on or off also. In the Geo Application, we can do up to 14 stages of on-off or 7 2-stage compressors. This can also be used for chillers also, as it doesn't necessarily have to be using heat pumps. In this illustration, we are using a single tank and then out to the load. So the ECO-1000 controls everything from the tank to the left. If you want to put the Zone 500 on, you can control the zones out from the tank. So basically this is a single tank with a single heat pump and then out to the ground loop. It can also control a backup heat source. So what that allows you to do is we can bring the backup on with a few different options, like outdoor temperature. You could bring it on and lock out the heat pump based on tank temperature. So there are some backup options you can choose for the control. This is a diagram that shows a two-stage control, and it has two heat pumps and a single tank with a heat load to the right of the tank. This illustration is of a system that is a little bit larger, as it is a three-stage control. So we're running all of the diverting valves as well as all of the reversing valves, plus there's a backup boiler on here, and it also is a two-tank system. With the ECO-1000, when you use the solar programming mode, it allows you to get into larger solar applications. So it's basically a differential control with a backup as well as having a dump contact on it. It has auto-tuning differential built onto it, so it will make sure you have the optimum BTU transfer. So it's going to change your delta T based on the running time of the pump while eliminating equipment short cycling. This diagram, it is a two-tank solar system with boiler backup, and it is showing that it will control your panel, it will control your tanks, it will bring in a backup if it needs to, and it will control all of the pumps in the system. You can also expand the capabilities by adding EXP 300s to it to start running larger solar systems. So in this case, we are taking the heat from the panels or tubes, and we are choosing which tank it should go into based on the temperature in the tank. Plus, it will keep everything warm if you want the backup on there as well. It can have a dump contact on the control also. The Zone 500 is either a standalone control, so it can work independent of our controls, or you can connect it with our 1000 controls and have a lot more capabilities of the zoning. So this will connect with either an ECO-1000 or the CP-1000 control. It can control up to 4 zones, either zone pumps or zone valves. So whatever power you put in the control, say 24, 24 comes out. If you put 120 in, 120 comes out. It can be expandable up to 36 zones, although that's just an arbitrary number that we thought no one would ever go over. It has boiler TT contacts, so if any of the zones call out here, there's a TT enable, so you can use it to run a boiler, to run a system pump, or if you're running valves. It has zone post-purge pump or valve control. So 24 VAC power comes out to the thermostats, and you can also have domestic hot water priority. But when you hook this up to the controls, you don't need to cross-wire anything from the zone control to the 1000 control. It's dip switch selectable on the back, whether you want to run a high temp demand or low temperature demand zone. So this will fire the demand on the control when the zone either calls for heating or cooling. In warm weather shutdown, it will send the signal from the 1000 control to the zone control to shut off the zones. So if there's a thermostat calling and the control's in warm weather shutdown, it won't turn the pump on, which gives you a lot better efficiency. Also, if it's connected with the ECO-1000, the heat pump control, you can actually say you want heating zones or cooling zones, and if it's in cold weather shutdown, the heating zones will be locked out, and if it's in warm weather shutdown, the cooling zones will be locked out for zone protection, so you're not sending heating water to your cooling zone and vice versa. This slide shows the connections of the control, so 5 amp contact for each of them, whether it's pumps or valves. We have a TT for the extra contact. dip switch selectable in the back, so you would pick your post purges and priorities. The one thing about the Zone 500 is that you can have different priority options. So you can have regular domestic hot water priority, where Zone 1 prioritizes over all the other zones, even if there's more than one connected together. Or you can have Zone 1 and 2 priority over Zone 3 and 4. If you have more than one Zone 500 together, you can have one module prioritize over another. Now you don't have to do a bunch of interlocking with relays where you can run the priority sequences straight from the Zone 500. This shows you the dip switches on the back, and it gives you a comprehensive way to set them for each individual control. Keep in mind there's a dip switch setting on here for the ECO and settings for the CPU 1000. The two modules that we'll talk about are the EXP100 and the EXP300. The EXP100 expands the capabilities of your boilers or heat pumps depending on your application, as it has 2 extra dry contacts built into it. You can wire whatever voltage you want in to it or out of the module. Dry contacts are usually the pumps. The EXP300 is a wet contact expander. It has 2 wet contacts built onto it, and when we talk about wet contacts, that means we have 120 volt coming out of them already. So you would need to power up the EXP300 with 120 volt, and you can wire your pumps directly into the EXP. So this allows you to easily wire up pumps without doing a bunch of interconnections or junction boxes and other things like that. The expansion modules can also be used for extra set points. So if you want to run a hot tub or a pool or something that is a set point off the main control, you would add one of these to the modules. Thanks for watching the overview of the ECO-1000 control. If you do have any further questions or need some help along the way, please contact us at the information on the screen, and we will be happy to help you guys out. We do have a in-house technical support, so feel free to call us at any time and ask for tech support, and we can guide you along the way. Thanks a lot.